If you're like me, you're constantly looking for recipes to just kind of like not make the same old something out of nothing kind of thing. We're looking for things that are great from the pantry. You're gonna stretch $1 really far, but also just something that's new and exciting and something maybe you haven't made before. Oftentimes I go to my own comment section and I see like a plethora of knowledge from all of you wonderful subscribers to Meals with Maria. There is so many goodies, little nuggets of information, tidbits, and recipes down there. I recently asked if you could share some of your, what I'm gonna call brag-worthy budget meals with me so that we could maybe pick some of those. I could give them a try for my own family and get some new ideas. And wow, was I amazed at how many different recipes that you guys shared. If you go over to the community section on my page, you can see all of the amazing, or most of the amazing recipes that were shared. There's some on Facebook too, and some were on Instagram. So these are the 3 recipes that I picked to show you some brand new, really frugal, thrifty, amazing ideas, budget ideas from you, from my subscribers. I appreciate you all so much, and I'm hoping that we can all get some more inspiration from these recipes. And do not forget to then put your recipes down in the comments again, because hey, I might do this again, and I'd be happy just to share like all of the knowledge that there is. If there was one that maybe you meant to put in there and you forgot to post, now's your time. Share in the comment section. Please just share with this wonderful community so that we have so many more budget meals to go through kind of over time. Okay, for this recipe, I chose what is called a hamburger pie from Claudette. She's a medical coder and mama free, and all of her kids are in their mid-20s now. But basically, the hamburger pie was created or on the regular meal rotation when all the kids were home. And it came about because she kind of like laughed as the kids got older that they would walk around with what she called entourages. So any given night, she would end up feeding like 8 to 10 kids at dinner versus her own family of 5. So she was always looking for something that she could make on a budget that was good for them and at least like everybody would eat it. And she found this recipe in a vintage red checkered cookbook from the late 60s under Feeding a Crowd. And she modified it a bit by making it like half ground turkey, half ground beef, because I think, she didn't say this, but I'm guessing it's because the ground turkey is gonna be cheaper. And then, you know, use a little half and half and mix it up. And then she also added an extra can of green beans to the original recipe because why not put a little bit more filler in there, and green beans are delicious. So she's really hoping that our family likes it as much as hers did, and it's kind of cute. Her kids actually still ask for this. So thank you so much, Claudette, for submitting this recipe. I chose it because it was something that feels like you have whatever she's talking about in the recipe on hand. Like, it's such a pantry-friendly recipe. We're just gonna get started by chopping up an onion, and that's the only like work that we're gonna need to do here. Forgive me, this is one of those days where I need to clean the cooktop, but it's just, we're already cooking, so we're just gonna leave it because reality is. So I'm just using what I have on hand, and I've got beef here. Pulled this out of the freezer. And then I feel like she wrote ground chicken in her first thing, and then when she emailed me, she said ground turkey, but I could be wrong. So I bought ground chicken, and the only issue with me is I don't really, because I have other recipes lined up within the same meal plan, I don't really have the ability to kind of cook the rest of the ground turkey and the ground beef. And since I already had these in the freezer and then took them out of the freezer, I can't freeze them again. So I'm just gonna cook a pound of each, but yes, the original recipe is just a half pound of each, and that definitely would make it more budget friendly. And let's not forget our onions. The next part of this is super pantry friendly and easy, is we're just making box mashed potatoes. Now I don't have the complete potatoes, so we're gonna pour in the flakes, then a half a cup of milk, and I put 2 tablespoons of butter in here with salt, water. You know, I followed the instructions on the non-complete potato flakes, but if you have complete potatoes, even easier, just add water. And then we're gonna put that kind of over the top of the casserole, but we're not done with the insides yet, so hold on. To this, we're adding 2 cans of French-style drained green beans and a can of tomato soup. Again, things that you probably already have in your pantry. Easy peasy. My only thought is, because I'm doing an extra pound of meat, if I should add extra tomato soup. I'm gonna give this a stir and see how I feel. I definitely don't wanna under-season it. So I don't think that you have to add another can of soup, but I'm going to, because I think it's just gonna give it more flavor and make it even more delicious. All right, I ended up just adding half a can, which is really perfect. Like if I added more, I feel like it'd be too soupy, and the flavor's great. So it seems like I'm gonna be having grilled cheese and tomato soup tomorrow, which I'm not mad about. That sounds like a good lunch to me. And we're just gonna pour this in a casserole dish, probably 9 by 13. I might need to go bigger just because I put so much meat in here. We're gonna cover it with our mashed potatoes and then sprinkle on some shredded cheddar cheese. The great thing about this is you can make as much or as little mashed potatoes as you want, really. So I just made 4 servings and then spread it across. This could very easily feed 8 to 10. It's just not heavy on the mashed potatoes. But when you're making a potato, instant mashed potato, just load it on. If you want to do that or go less, your choice. I'm sure she put a lot on when she was feeding all of the kids. But since this is just for my family, I don't know, I just decided to go heavier on the cheese. I enjoy cheese more than potatoes. So since the bottom of this is already warm, everything but the cheese is kind of cooked. We're gonna put this in the oven at 350 degrees until it is hot, bubbly, cheesy, which is gonna be probably about 20 minutes is my guess, but we're gonna check on it in 20 and see. So I definitely know that it's ready. It's exactly what she said, it'll be bubbly and ready. It's ready. Looks delicious.
I give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, kids are very much enjoying this. Dan and I already cleared our plates.
I know how to count to 100 really fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Good job.
I think that's off.
And you said it was a 5 out of 5, JJ? That's awesome. Yeah, this was delicious. I can see how this really fed a crowd, especially when the entourages came over. Thank you again, Claudette, for sharing this recipe. It's definitely a winner. Okay, this one is from Divya Michelle, and it's basically like a curry chicken, and I'm super excited about that. We love curry in this household. D-I-V-I-A. Maybe her name is Michelle Divya. Either way, you're fabulous. We love you. She says a ½ pound of chicken, but for my family, I know I'm gonna need a little bit more than that. Plus we like to have leftovers. So I'm using 5 boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I'm sure you could use whatever chicken you have. And this is gonna stretch a lot too, because you're gonna serve it with rice, maybe some naan bread, discount naan bread at that, make sure that it is. And then she says 1 medium diced onion, which I have right here. It says a ½ a jar of cheap salsa. Now, I don't know if Dan would get on me about this. Oh, I'm pouring it everywhere. We have the salsa mild here. Is that considered cheap salsa? It is. It's the cheapest salsa. That's why we buy it. And 2 tablespoons of curry powder. I'm probably just gonna pour what I have left here because I love curry. And she says cook on low 8 to 10 hours, but you know my crock pot, we're probably gonna do low for 4 and give it a shot, see what happens. You know what, I decided because I have more chicken, I'm putting more salsa, so I'm just gonna pour the rest in here. So it's been about 4 hours. This looks pretty darn good. And as suspected, this chicken is just falling apart. And so recipe says to use either, it's very, again, another very pantry friendly one. You can either use cream cheese, sour cream, or heavy cream. And she said about 4 ounces of cream cheese, which I do have on hand, so that's what I'm gonna use. I think it's about ½ a cup of heavy cream or sour cream if that's what you want to use. That probably also depends on, you know, how you like your food. So I'm thinking we're gonna go extra creamy tonight with cream cheese. I'm just gonna mix this in, probably close the lid on it until it really melts down, but only for a few minutes. Until everything gets mixed up. I've got some rice going on the stove here. We're just gonna cook that up according to package instructions and serve that with our chicken. So the consensus is that everybody loves this. It's absolutely delicious. So yes, thank you so much, Michelle, for submitting this recipe. It's incredible.
It's one of her subscribers. 100 out of 100.
How many servings did you have?
3.
Cheese. How many servings did you have, Benny? At least 2.
Everyone had 2 except me.
Everyone went back for seconds. It's completely gone. Amazing.
And I give give it a 5 out of 5. He gives it he got 2 servings and he gives it a 5 out of 5.
All right, I'm excited because we're getting started on Iris's chicken here. So Iris is utilized a rotisserie chicken, and I couldn't believe all the things that she made out of it. Like, she was so, I don't know what the right word is, like economical, budget friendly. Like, she wasn't gonna miss an inch of this rotisserie chicken when she shared this story. So basically she's like, I got a rotisserie chicken. I think she even ate some for lunch that day. So she had some for lunch that day. And then she took took all the chicken off of it, shredded all the chicken. She got the carcass. She made up a ton of chicken broth. Then with that chicken broth, she made herself some enchilada sauce. And then with the shredded chicken, she made chicken enchiladas. And then with the leftover shredded chicken, she also made like some buffalo chicken salad. So we've got 2 different chicken dishes here. Then we have, I think we're gonna make like 12 cups of chicken broth out of this. And then with that 12 cups, probably maybe like 10 or 8 when it gets down to it after it evaporates. We're also gonna make potato soup. Now, given the time of year that it is, I'm actually not gonna make potato soup just because it's like spring and I have a bunch of other things on my menu right now, but I'm gonna end up with a ton of chicken broth, and potato soup is super economical, like super cheap. Potatoes are so inexpensive, and I will make sure to put her recipe down in the description box for you so that you can make it if you do wanna do the potato soup with this. But we're gonna end up with lots of chicken broth. We're gonna end up with our chicken enchiladas. We're gonna make the enchilada sauce out of the chicken broth. And then we're also gonna make some buffalo chicken salad. So I'm super excited about it. It's gonna be awesome. Just a little bit about Iris. She is from San Antonio, or just outside San Antonio, Texas. And Tex-Mex food is her absolute favorite food. She was raised on it. She doesn't measure. So she was happy to share her recipe, but it's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So we're gonna have fun and we're gonna play around with it. So I just snagged a cold rotisserie chicken because I find that those are cheaper. They're less expensive than getting the hot ones. And especially when you're gonna do something like this, you do not need a hot one. Even like by the time I get home, my chicken's not hot anyway. So I'm not really sure why I would need a hot chicken because I'm just gonna microwave it. Okay, Iris says that for her stock, she used bell pepper, which I've never used in stock before. But hey, sounds good to me. I happen to have bell pepper on hand. I'm sure if you don't have it, it's probably not a big deal. But something new to try. It's gonna give it some flavor. Then we're gonna cut up just a couple chunks of onion. Just keep the onion peel on. And then a few cloves of smashed garlic. I'm not gonna be shy on those. Love some garlic. It's gonna give it lots of flavor. So we're just gonna pour everything into the pot. I'm gonna put 12 cups of water into it and a generous portion of salt and pepper. 12 didn't seem like enough, so I'm actually gonna do 16 cups of water. That looks better. So this was done a little while ago. I'm just gonna scrape the scum off the top of it, and I'm gonna put it in a container. We're gonna put it in the fridge for now. I just made this in the morning, so tonight we'll use some of it for that enchilada sauce. Okay, we are gonna make Iris's homemade enchilada sauce now, which is gonna be awesome. So we're gonna do an equal amount of oil and flour, she says. So I'm just gonna do a tablespoon of flour and a tablespoon of oil, and we're basically gonna make a roux here to kind of thicken things up for our sauce. I'm sure you could use like butter if you wanted to. I've always used butter to make a roux, but she says oil, so that is what we're doing. This is going nice and quick. Kind of just want to toast it. Then we're gonna add, it says a few shakes of chili powder. Does that seem like a few shakes? You can't have too much. It's supposed to be chili-like, right? I feel like it's not really coming out. Why? We don't know. Like this. Oh, okay. That's plenty, right? Need garlic powder, onion powder. Give this a stir before it burns. Ooh, that's some flavor. Ground cumin, salt. I'm like out of pepper apparently, so weird. So this is nice and toasty now. We're gonna add 2 cups of our fresh chicken broth. Like you can see the fat on it because I put mine in the refrigerator last night. I didn't get to make these on day 1, which you maybe could or should, but I just didn't have the chance to. So it is what it is. I could get all the fat out if I wanted to, but I'm just not too worried about it. Chicken fat is good fat, so it's fine by me. And then we're gonna do, it says a little tomato sauce. So that's pretty cryptic. No. This is kind of like 4 tablespoons. Let's just see how it turns out. If it's not tomato-y enough, then we'll add more. I have plenty. I can add the whole jar if I want. Not too worried about it. So I just went back in here with more chili powder, more cumin, more garlic powder, because I don't season like a Texan, and maybe I should. I season like a New Englander, which is like very bland food. I didn't grow up on Tex-Mex, so that's my fault, my falter. So I just tasted it, and that's the thing about cooking, especially if you're following someone else's recipe. If you go through and you're like, that doesn't taste right to me, then you add stuff. So this is not by any fault of Iris. This is just me by being an under seasoner, I guess. So I just went back in and I added more, and I actually added a little bit more flour too to kind of thicken it up, but it's thickening up quite nicely, and now we have lots of flavor. So it's nice. It's fun to do things like this because you really get like some tips on how to just like kind of cook from the heart kind of thing, and how to be able to figure something out when you don't know what's going on. Okay, now we're gonna make our enchiladas. Now the sauce is perfect. It's delicious. I tasted it, I love it. We need about 2 cups of shredded chicken. I have some tortillas here. I've got about 4 whole wheat tortillas and then a bunch of these like carb tortillas. I know, I'm so sorry, Iris, you said to use corn tortillas, but I do not have corn tortillas today, and so as things are in this video, on these videos in this household, we're using what we have. We have flour, so I hope that's okay. Don't want to totally butcher it. We're gonna cut up 2 cups of this, mix in some of the sauce, just like to the right consistency. I'll show you guys, and then when it feels right, we're gonna put some of that into the tortillas, roll it up, put a little enchilada sauce on the bottom of our pan, roll them up, put them seam side down. Cover the rest of the tortillas with enchilada sauce, some cheddar cheese, and we're gonna bake it. So now we're gonna make Iris's Spanish rice to go with the enchiladas. So I just put a couple tablespoons of olive oil in the bottom of a pan, and we're adding 1 cup of rice and kind of just cooking until, I think she said opaque, but I think she means translucent, I'm not sure. But we're gonna cook it for a few minutes until it looks right. Then we're gonna add in a chopped up onion, a chopped up pepper. She said green bell pepper, which I know would give a better flavor to this, but I have yellow, so that's what I'm gonna use. And let that cook for just a minute in the bottom of the pan here. And then we're gonna add in a clove of minced garlic, cumin, 1.5 cups of the chicken broth, a half a can of tomato sauce, which is perfect because that's what I have left from the enchilada sauce, so maybe that all makes sense and it all works out. Bring it up to a boil, turn the heat down to low, and cover it until it's fully cooked through. Now, those were some absolutely amazing budget meals, but if you are looking for more, go ahead and click on this next video to keep the inspiration going. And remember, the next time you are on YouTube, make sure you're watching Meals with Maria.